All right, welcome everybody to Watch and Complain. Will and I are going to politely watch and complain each other complain about Book of Boba Fett.
I'm here too.
Chapter 2. Phil is not invited.
I watched
he's not
it.
allowed. Shut up. He's not allowed to talk because he was rude earlier.
For what? What did I do? Sorry.
I don't remember. I don't know.
But all right,
so Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 2. I don't remember the name of it, but
it's just called Chapter 2.
I thought they all have names. I thought each of the chapters. It may. I don't remember.
Under Disney Plus, I'll say it just says Chapter 2. I know some of them have names.
Should be called The Twins.
I enjoyed it a lot. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first one. I did love so I'll just real briefly because I won't go into as much detail as I did with the first one because the first one had a lot of stuff to go into detail about it. I loved the twins. I just thought that was so cool. Seeing a good CG rendition of Jabba the Hutt is something that we haven't seen, I don't think, ever. We saw the special edition.
Episode 1 is okay.
What's that?
And
not
Phantom
the movie,
Menace,
though.
It's fine.
Oh, and Phantom Menace is fine, but these ones look like the weight of being like the people carrying them. It just, that whole scene, I thought it was great. Really, really loved it. Seeing the angry dog Chewbacca made me giggle because I'm like, all right, we're getting into stupid territory here. That guy, you got to keep him in the back. That's a bad action figure.
The Wookiee, the dark Wookiee.
So it looked like, and I wish I could remember the dogs that show up in the new season of Doctor Who that fight the Flux. It looked like one of those dogs, and I cannot remember what the fuck they're called.
They have like the fang teeth or something.
Yeah, it looks like one of those. It looks like more like one of those dogs from Doctor Who than it does from like a fucking Wookiee. But I loved it's again. I like that this shows a slow burn. I like seeing Boba Fett learn, and he's gonna have to go to these different places. He might have to go to Nal Hutta and not wipe out the Hutts, but let them know that he's a force to be reckoned with. So, but that's just kind of guessing on where the show will go. I will say I didn't care much for the train scene with the Sand People. I kind of want to get away from the Sand People. I don't know why we're spending so much time.
I love the Sand People. I didn't like the train stuff so much, but the stuff before, like just the buildup of that, I love.
I liked it in the first one, but and I'm okay with having it here and there. But they need to stop having 10 minutes of Boba Fett being the daimyo in Tatooine or Mos Espa more specifically, and get away from all this shit that happened before Boba got all of his armor back with the Sand People. I feel like they're spending too much time there. Yeah. So that's one thing I will say that I think I agree with Will. And I think from what Will's going to say, I have a sneaking suspicion I probably agree with him that part dragged the show on a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. So, by the way, I looked it up on Wikipedia. It's called The Tribes of Tatooine. I've always thought of Tatooine. Pardon?
I said Will's a Jedi.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I thought of that with my hood. So it's very apt. I always thought of the Hutts as gangsters. That's pretty much what they say in The Phantom Menace. So Star Wars's attempt to turn everything into some kind of spiritual religious angle is like bothersome. Of like the Tusken Raiders, who are just called Tuskens. They have a way to them that is just basically Samoan of what Tamura already does, and it's like not even science fiction anymore. It's just far too transparent. In regards to what you guys said, I was thinking, oh, great, a train heist. That hasn't been done before, except in Solo or even Serenity. And it's like, or even in the last season of Mandalorian with the trucks. Like it's kind of old. But
I think it's one of those tried, tested, and true things. So, hey, let's just do it again. That's why I was like, God, man, we've seen this.
Yeah, it felt old. This episode again was written by Jon Favreau. I was thinking, at this point, I'd rather Jon Favreau, Barack Obama speechwriter, write an episode because Favreau himself has kickstarted a few good series or watchable series like Revolution. He has experience in like show running or being the kickoff guy. But it doesn't seem like they need to hire somebody whose heart is on this show, because this show kind of suffers an identity crisis. There isn't a reason for Boba Fett to actually exist yet. And the part of the two Boba Fetts of like the Boba Fett that we want to see the show of, which is basically the Mandalorian before they made it. And then the one of him walking as like an ancient guy with a stick. And like the montage that felt like something that I would have done in high school with the butt edits and stuff of him putting his stick together. I'm like, this is made by the most powerful media company in the world, and this is what they got. They had a year to make Star Wars material, and this grade school bullshit
I enjoyed it.
is like the best that they can do. Like it's why does if you were to be rebirthed after basically, I don't know how long you're supposed to be in the sandpit, let's say 30 years, 10 years, 5 years, a long time, and you come out and you're like, yeah, that one guy who hired me for a job, I'm gonna take over his job and then run across. I've been all over the galaxy, but let me go to this desert planet and let me operate like a sector of this area on a desert planet, and earn everybody's customs, because that seems like a total reasonably logical thing for a bounty hunter to do. There's no awakening, there's no internal logic to this character of why he wants to do this or at all. It feels like a constraint the show places on itself unnecessarily. It's everybody can agree that the idea of a Boba Fett TV show is like a cool idea, but again, the Mandalorian already fills that space, so this show just kind of meanders from plot point to plot point. I just found it very tedious.
I will say that for me, this show is a welcome change from the Star Wars movies of late. Like Rise of Skywalker is just an embarrassing film. You know, it's a movie that you just can't watch over again because it makes you sad of how good Star Wars used to be. And
but the Rise of Skywalker is funnier than this show.
Rise of Skywalker is one of the worst movies I saw last year. It was just embarrassingly sad. This show,
how is this meant to be funny? Like I don't know what you're.
Well, the book of Boba Fett isn't that funny. Like even some of its attempts at humor, but I still remember like the jokes from Rise of Skywalker, which I agree with you, Rob, is like a joke of a film and not a good movie at all. But even elements of humor like Poe with the flashlight, or oh, I have something to say. Like pretty much, I was reminiscing. I'm like, I was thinking while watching this, where's Poe? Like I know he's never been on the Mandalorian or anything, but he survived Rise of Skywalker.
Every single character and maybe this is a real testament of where you fall, kind of, if you are a Star Wars fan, where you fall as like those are the movies you connected to. Because I feel like people who connected to the sequel trilogy, which is, the new ones, will not enjoy this at all. You know what I mean? It's too slow. It's not enough action. People who like the sequel trilogy will like this, but will want it to fucking speed the fuck up. And people who like the original trilogy will be like, yep, this is right in my wheelhouse. This is right where I like my Star Wars. It's got a little bit of slow Star Trek in it. It's got all the mysticism of the original Star Wars. But it's not getting into midichlorians, and it's not getting into fucking force healing and all that garbage that they did in Rise of Skywalker. So I think it really, how you feel towards, and maybe I'm totally talking out of my ass and completely wrong, but I feel like how you feel about the show really depends on where you connect to the Star Wars universe. You know what I mean?
I was thinking if you were going to say that, everybody who enjoyed the sequel trilogy wouldn't enjoy this because it's too slow, I'd say that they're right. Because the show definitely could use some speeding up. Like it's just odd to me that it's like in a show takes place in the Star Wars universe where it's like, okay, we have a limitless pantheon of characters to go after. And yeah, it just seems like not much is happening. Like what happened in this show, in this episode? He met a few people, he met the twins of the Hutts. So what? Like this show doesn't really answer.
I feel like it's setting up, and well,
it's a I shouldn't say I
feel like I'm hoping it's setting up as the show continues. You know what I mean? Like I'm hoping it sets up something.
But
to
it's
happen,
like it's more than the length of a feature film, and it's directed. I don't know the direct Steph Green, but you know, when your first episode is directed by Robert Rodriguez and you're written by Jon Favreau and it's a Disney thing, come on, like it's been 80 minutes. Like the show takes its time so much, doesn't introduce very many memorable characters. I can't even name aside from the Fett too many of the character. Like Jabba has been mentioned more times than any other character. I don't know the name or can't remember the name of his assistant, who's pretty cool. Let's give her an origin story episode. Hopefully they will. But it's just kind of like I feel like it's deliberately wasting the audience's time so that they'll forget to cancel their Disney Plus subscription.
Yeah, I disagree.
Like a Hawkeye.
The Rise of Skywalker was everything that's come to be wrong with Star Wars. It culminated there. You could see it starting to show itself with Force Awakens. It didn't really show itself with Last Jedi, because that movie was just an absolute misfire of a movie. But with Rise of Skywalker, that was everything wrong with what.
Because to me, this seems more like The Last Jedi on a smaller scale is how I look at it.
But yeah, I'd agree with that to an extent, in that it's not something that a lot of people expect out of the Star Wars story. The difference, in my opinion, the difference is that I want to see where this goes, whereas Last Jedi just did everything totally wrong. It was like, hey, you think Luke's going to help out? He's not gonna. Hey. You think that Leia's going to die? She's not going to. Like, that was stupid. And that's just Rian Johnson's writing style, which is a good writing style. It's just not good for Star Wars. But I can see that, where it's expectation. It's not what you expect to happen. A lot of what happens in it, and I feel like it's building towards something. Hopefully something big. But
what do you want to see happen, Rob?
In the Book of Boba Fett, honestly, it's funny, a lot of Star Wars fans want to see explosions, action, fighting, Skywalkers, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to see that at all. I'd like to see this honestly be like a Godfather-esque type of story, very contained. It's obviously not a family, but he makes his group, his family that comes together, that runs shit on Tatooine. Other crime families come in. Sometimes there have to be fights. Sometimes they get along. But it's about a huge crime syndicate that Boba Fett sits on top of. I want to see just that.
Can you name 3 characters on this show?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or do you just want me to?
Yep.
Okay. Fennec Shand, Boba Fett.
Who's Fennec Shand?
Fennec Shand is the girl that he fights with.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Fennec Shand. The Hutts are just called the twins. That was actually something I'm like, my God, have I forgotten their names? They are never given names. They're just called the twins. The mayor, I'm sure the mayor has a name, but they go to the mayor. Excuse me.
I thought the mayor was interesting.
Yeah, he's from a guy that shows up in the first Star Wars movie whose nickname is just Hammerhead. Oh, sorry, Mo Nadon, but he's called Hammerhead. Yeah. But my 2 favorite characters, that honestly the only 2 guys care about are Fennec Shand and Boba Fett.
But those are 2 named characters. The 3 people are like, oh yeah, this person who is in the other movies, and then the twins who aren't given names. But so it's kind of lacking for depth.
What does it matter?
Yeah, no,
I thought it told a good story. Minutes. So, like, I think yes.
Well, he was saying he wanted to be like The Godfather. It's just, if you want it to be like The Godfather, you need names, you need established characters to go at each other so that there's gravity. And if you can't name somebody who has the full character, and it's just kind of like a reference to other material, then it's lends into my argument, which is just that it's thin.
So is the earlier timeline the buildup of trying to get to the Mandalorian to get the armor back?
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Yeah, I'm trying to, because it bothers me that I'm thinking so much, because I like it makes The Mandalorian look like a better show because I'm constantly remembering him coming back there, and I'm like, oh, is Timothy Oliphant going to show up? Because I've been watching a lot of Justified. It's like I like that character, like, and of course he's a marshal, right, on that show. But I've been thinking a lot about The Mandalorian, and obviously with the two plots and stuff like that, it's just it feels like they're dragging it out.
I think this is pretty much a prologue to the next season. Which season
that sounds like an incredible waste of time.
But
I'd argue that it's exactly the same thing The Sopranos did, where Sopranos, the entire first season of Sopranos was set up for the rest of the show, and that's what I think. That's what I think this is going to be. I mean, when you think of it, there's only one person of the group to die in the first season of Sopranos. You know what I mean?
Because I think they're going to go from the earlier timeline to when he meets up with Mandalorian, so that they have that tie-in, so that people are like, oh, I can go watch The Mandalorian if I haven't. And then the more recent timeline will be that build up to getting a group, like Rob said, the crime syndicate. And then season 2 will be the crime syndicate.
Do you guys find that I've never found the Hutts really that intimidating. It's kind of like one of the more kiddie show aspects of it. I'm like, yeah, they're fat people on a throne. Like I was thinking, because I was watching Justified, and you're constantly looking at, okay, how many people are in the room? Like he has him and Shay, and there's the Wookiee, and then the other bodyguard with guns. And I'm thinking, oh, they can both just take one person out and destroy these people. They're not. It's like they're afraid of making Boba Fett seem, and with a storied character, it's like, okay, how good is he? How bad is he? Because we can't make him seem too lame, but we can't make him seem too good.
That's what I think is a strong point of the show, is that Boba Fett is defeatable. You know that Boba Fett's got some shit wrong with him. You know, that's why he has to keep on going to that back to tank. It's the fact that he is a fallible character. That's what makes me interested. And the reason I say that is you look at something like
Dexter. There's never any question that he's going to be killed or anything.
No, but then look at something like Dexter or 24, where the character is infallible. That's boring. As soon as you watch a story, that's why I have no interest in the Justice League. Because in the Justice League, you can't kill Superman. If he dies, you know he's going to come back. So there's no drama there.
But for 3 seasons on Dexter, like they managed to pull that off, and then on Justice League, even they killed Superman, at least temporarily. So it showed that they were willing to go there.
But the fact that he's coming back means there's absolutely no tension. It's tensionless, and that's what makes Boba Fett at least different in that regard, is that Boba Fett might get killed. You know what I mean? Mandalorian, Din Djarin might get killed.
I believe it. I get the sense. I get that sense of danger with the Mandalorian, especially when he's that one episode. I think it's in season 2 when he's fighting the Tusken Raiders. I think in that moving ship, and him being like, "Oh, this guy's a bit like rusty." Like it's like that Indiana Jones type thing. Obviously from Lucasfilm. I don't get that with this. And I feel as well that it's related to an identity crisis that Star Wars has been having for a while, where this is a character who the only reason the show was made is because of how cool he was established in the original trilogy. But the only reason we care about him is because of how he's established in the prequel trilogy. And it just kind of doesn't know how to marry that two. It's like, oh, is he a killer? Or is he somebody with a past and stuff like that? And it hasn't reached into his past.
Yeah.
Pardon?
It's the mysterious aspect of it. People want to know his backstory. They want to know more about him. So
but we kind of already do.
I disagree. I feel like whose backstory we know now because it was stuffed down our fucking throats. Hawkeyes. You know everything about Hawkeye. I don't want to learn everything about Boba Fett. You know what I mean? I don't care where fucking Boba Fett was for the days before he went to the Sarlacc pit, outside of knowing that he was an amazing bounty hunter. Like there's so much left to the imagination that to me is more fun. And that's kind of what I want about this. I like the idea of a mysterious character. I like the idea that we never learned the Mandalorian's name until the last episode of the first season. You know what I mean? Little things like that.
What is his name?
Din Djarin. but the fact that we never learn it for so long is what makes these shows, for me, work. And I can't speak for
And
everybody.
they don't,
But doesn't it have
makes
to
it work.
mean something?
They don't unmask the Tusken Raiders. That's still a mystery, although it's
I
been a
was
little
thinking
bit
about that.
unmasked in the past.
Well, they unmask one of them, don't they? And then it's like another thing underneath.
In like a comic book, I think I saw, like, I
Maybe.
looked it up and I was like Tusken Raiders Unmasked or something like that. And the only thing I can find was like a comic book. So they might
But doesn't
have
it
done
seem
it
like the
there.
show is afraid to unmask them? Not that
No,
it's like trying to
there's
preserve the
no-
I
mystery.
think they want to
absolutely
keep
no
the
reason
mystery for
to.
sure.
To me,
there's
every single
no
thing-
point to doing something simply for the sake of doing it. I leave that to Marvel and DC. There is
I
absolutely
think-
no reason to just simply do it because it can be done. That's stupid.
It would have meant more to me, his learnings with the Tuscans, if they had a face that we could relate to, that you could see emotion on their face. They are literally faceless husks.
Yep, you're supposed to just have that in your head. Like, what do they look like? Oh, I imagine it to be this way, but it really doesn't matter. They're getting that that emotion across. They're getting that they're people too. Like, you're getting all that.
And
For
we'll
me,
see if this continues in
Mhm.
episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. This has been Watch and Complain. I am Rob, along with
Will.
and
Phil,
see us at
watchingcomplain.com.
watchingcomplain.com. Phil sells nudes on there if you want them. So
My
be sure to
OnlyFans.
buy them. And also you can buy his
Call it
bras.
only Phil.
Will sells his underpants on that same site. There's Star Wars underpants.
I packaged them.
All right, goodbye, everybody.
My,
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, my mom got me for Christmas one year Gears of War boxers, because she thought it was similar to Star Wars, and she's like, "Oh, Star Wars, Gears of War, Gear
Same
Wars."
thing.
I love Gears of War, so it was great. But the
They're a
boxers
bit
thing
different.
brought it back.
Fuck. All right, goodbye, everybody.
I'm putting that in the credits.